One of the ways culture is shaped isn't just through headlines, it's through ideas. Long after news cycles fade, books continue influencing pastors, leaders, families, and future generations. Our next guest has spent decades helping publish messages that have strengthened believers around the world. And tonight, we'll talk about why preserving truth and communicating it well may be one of the most important callings of our lifetime. Our next guest carries a remarkable legacy for decades. Nori Media Group has been one of the most respected voices in Christian publishing, providing books and resources that have strengthened believers around the world. As a publisher, author, and leader, Don Nori has helped carry that vision into a new generation, preserving timeless biblical truth while equipping today's church for tomorrow's challenges. Don, it is a privilege, sir, to welcome you to Unclassified. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. I made it here today. It's my first win.
You made it, and we're together in the studio. That's always fun. You've always said that publishing was never just about selling books. What do you mean by that?
Well, for us, it's a calling.
Okay.
There's a message that can change a life in every book. And the message entrusted to the authors by God is something that they are challenged to share with the world. And as a publisher, we're the bridge between that anointing that God has put on an author and sharing that message to the world.
Okay, how did it all begin? How did this start?
I was in elementary school. My father, in 1983, had a vision from God, supernatural vision.
Really?
He was supposed to buy this property. He was supposed to start publishing books for authors that couldn't get their messages published because of whatever reason. We call it cancel culture today, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And so that began when?
1983. My first job with the company was walking to his office from elementary school and cleaning out the company van.
Okay. And so now to the point where you're at now, you're running the company. Tell me the different, what is it? Publishing arms or labels? What's the right term?
Well, you shared Nori Media Group. That's the parent.
Right.
Right. I don't promote that very much. Destiny Image is the company my father founded.
Okay.
And after he had 2 heart attacks and a stroke in early 2000s, my brother and I bought it from him to continue the legacy. And during that time period, we bought Harrison House Publishers. We started another company called Sound Wisdom and recently made a strategic partnership with Bridge Logos.
Wow. All right. It sounds like it's a charmed life, like it's been so easy to do. Publishing authors, first of all, how do you determine who's a good author? What's a good book?
Oh, it's the 3 M's. The 3 M's that I learned were the man is the author, the message, is it anointed, is it meaningful, is it going to help somebody, and the market. Are there people out there that need it?
So your career's touched some of the most recognized names in Christian publishing. I mean, you throw a name out there, and they've been with one of your publishing arms. Looking back, what moments convinced you, if there's any, that publishing isn't simply a business, but it's rather a ministry? Is there any particular time that you realized this is bigger?
Well, there's always great stories about lives being changed, but the biggest proof to me is the attacks and then the blessings.
Okay.
We've been under such extreme attack and
the larger about it.
So my father had 2 heart attacks and a stroke, $1 million in debt.
Wow.
2008, big economy crash, right? And we had to lay off half of our staff. And instead of getting payment from our partners, we had over $1 million in books sent back to us in a month.
Wow.
So they talk about, we had to eat books for dinner, not literally.
Right.
But that was a big hurdle, and the Lord blessed that stewardship and made it possible for myself and my brother. That same year, we decided we were going to buy Destiny Image because we wanted to see this continue. And so it was a blessing that we were able to overcome that, continue this a big attack. But beyond that, you want to get into administrations. We were audited under each Obama administration.
Oh, two.
Each 4 years, we got audited.
Do you know why you were audited?
Well, the IRS was weaponized against Christian organizations, that they weren't letting people get their nonprofit status. We publish a lot of Christians, right? And I would say majority lean conservative. Right. So a lot of our authors were under attack, and we were under attack by association. And so the stigma of getting IRS audit made people think, are you financially sound? Are you trustworthy? And that can be a hurdle to overcome. But a blessing from that, once you know, the Lord gave us IRS agents that first applauded how good our books were, financial books, that is. Mm-hmm. But then on the other side,
I see what you did there. That's funny.
They gave us some great advice on how to shore up our financials to be the strongest position we could be if there's any inquiry from government. And so that really solidified our position there. And we thought, man, this is terrific. And then we get hit with a ransomware attack where our computers get shut down. We can't get anything done. And we thought, oh my goodness, we're losing tens of thousands of dollars a day. Well, this was back when Bitcoin wasn't as easily transferable, but we had to pay the pirates in Bitcoin to release our servers. And once you know, I had to buy a certain amount of Bitcoin to do that.
So you had to pay the ransom people in Bitcoin?
Yes, and without getting into that whole story, I ended up with a bag of cash at a McDonald's to get somebody to transfer Bitcoin. I ended up with this extra Bitcoin, and what do? So we just sat on it. But today, it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in the war chest for a future.
That's kind of like where God says he will take the things that are meant for your harm and turn it to your good.
Yeah.
So you pulled out. How'd you pull out of all of those things? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, I find you have to stay curious. If you don't stay curious about what's going to happen next, you're going to get destroyed. It's going to crush you because the attacks keep coming. And sometimes you think it could be friendly. Sometimes it's overt. But every administration, there's been difficulty, whether direct or indirect.
Yeah. Don, every son eventually reaches a moment where he has to decide whether he'll simply preserve a legacy or he's going to build on it. Now, as you've led this group, this media group, how have you balanced honoring your father's vision while also leading the ministry into a new season? How do you do that?
I had the privilege of being able to work with my father for a number of years. He took me with him when he traveled to conferences and events. He loved to preach. He loved to write books. And he didn't want to be a publisher. He wanted to be a preacher, right? And so I got to learn the ministry side, and I saw how every penny we had to go back in. And I decided, you know what? I believe my mission is to finance the ministry. So he led me, he taught me, he showed me a good path. So whenever I entered into that, I could take that $1 million in debt and that extreme loss from 2008 and build it up to a point where we could buy other publishing houses. We could invest in new things to where at that time we were a $2 million company, and now we're far larger than that.
Oh, it's wonderful.
We'll publish 100 books this year.
Oh, that's great. I kind of thought when you were talking about your father just then, I thought of the Apostle Paul. He wanted to be a preacher and all, but he ended up being a publisher. I mean, he wrote a lot of our New Testament for. Let me ask you this. I read something. I want to get it right because I'm going to look here. I read something that you said that leadership isn't about protecting your position. It's about protecting the people God has entrusted to your care. To me, that sounds like stewardship. Doesn't sound like corporate CEO to me. Yet much of our churches sound corporate CEO and not stewardship. Explain that to me, what that means. Leadership isn't about protecting your position. It's about protecting the people God has entrusted to your care.
Well, to finance the ministry, I need to make sure that our organization is taken care of. Our authors are taken care of. Our partners are taken care of, so they continue to invest in ministry. But our organization doesn't exist without people. Destiny Image doesn't exist because my father started it. It exists today because there is an anointed group of people leading it and working with the authors.
After all of these years, what excites you about helping bring new voices to the front, to readers?
That's the exciting part. I've got a love for marketing, right? And finding the audience that the message really resonates with is what really lights my fire, because then you know you're actually reaching people, you're actually changing lives. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, this third generation coming in, she had signed her first author, and introducing that author, bringing them to an event and having them appear on shows and podcasts, and seeing this person who was a single mom with an autistic child and a small platform all of a sudden getting more and more visibility. Because being able to take an author and connect them with like voices, you know, like I hope we can do for you when your book comes out in January. That's a teaser.
Yeah.
But
thank you. And you've already done, Kenneth, Copeland and I did one together, God, the Covenant, the Contradiction. Harrison House was a part of that. We've got a new one that's coming out. It's right here. Matter of fact, I got this copy today. It's called Speak the Word with Brother Copeland and I, about the authority of the believer. Once again, Harrison House helping with that as well. Tell me about, because it's two different deals. Harrison House is largely, I'm talking off the cuff here, Word of Faith. You know, that's what it's always been, about the Word of Faith. And Destiny Image has always been about the prophetic. Am I wrong in that simple assessment?
No, that's a good vision. There's a lot of overlap, but that's the primary difference. My father's vision was publish the prophets for Destiny Image. And we started another company, Sound Wisdom, is about business motivational. You know, there's a lot of overlap with a lot of these things, but you're right. Harrison House, primarily Word of Faith, and we actually have a strategic partnership with Kenneth Copeland Ministries to represent and distribute into the marketplace.
Oh, that's great. Let me ask you this. If one person is listening today and they're walking through the hardest, kind of like you did, maybe not to that level, but they're walking through the hardest season of their life, what would you want them to know?
You can't give up. You have to stay curious. Something's going to come. And I can say, I have a curious thing that I'm not going to realize for a long time. Can I tell you the story of my greatest procrastination?
Okay. We're under a minute.
Under a minute.
We may have to come back on another day for this, but tease us with it.
My father had something to tell me, and he was asking me to come spend an hour with him, and I kept putting it off for a week. Had a birthday party for him, kept asking me. I said, you'll be at my house tomorrow. We'll find out then. And he died on the way to my house. So for me, I know someday I'll find out what he wanted to tell me.
Right.
Don't procrastinate. Don't stay frozen. Take that step.
Don't get stuck on Friday. We need to talk about this. I'm going to bring you back. Well, we're going to talk with Don more about that, because that was a word for somebody, that you can't stay frozen and let fear paralyze you. Don, thank you so much for being with us. Your family's commitment to publishing biblical truth has impacted countless lives. We're grateful that you're continuing that legacy through the Nori Media Group. To learn more about Don, explore Nori Media Group's latest book releases and discover resources that will strengthen your faith. Be sure to visit them and their group website. And don't forget to follow Don on his social media channels, where he regularly shares biblical insights and ministry updates and the latest projects coming. Don, thank you again for joining me on Unclassified. We're going to do this again. Now listen, tonight the founders understood something that still matters today. Nations are built by ideas and governed by laws. That's why books matter. That's why court opinions matter. That's why truth matters. Whether we're turning the pages of a book or reading pages on a Supreme Court opinion, we have a responsibility to understand before choosing a side. Freedom survives when citizens are informed, engaged, and willing to pursue truth, because truth deserves to be revealed, because truth is a person. His name is Jesus. See you next time. Bye for now.